During holiday travel, some people get delirious. Some get delayed. And some get Del Griffith.
American Light and Fixture, Director of Sales, Shower Curtain Ring Division.
Neal Page got all three.
I was on my way home to spend a nice holiday with my family. Instead, I'm in a motel bed with a stranger.
So instead of Thanksgiving with his family, he's spending 3 days with the turkey.
Two happy clams just whistling down the road.
Flintstones, meet the Flintstones, they're the Marconi family.
Paramount Pictures presents
Wilma!
Steve Martin,
Ever been to Hawaii?
Yeah.
You see Don Ho while you were there?
See the second show, that's the best one.
Is that right?
Yeah.
John Candy,
Why are you holding my hand? Where's your other hand? Between two pillows. Those aren't pillows.
in a new film by John Hueghes. Planes, trains, and automobiles.
See that Bears game last week? Yeah, hell of a game, hell of a game.
So I was trying to locate this movie to watch it, and I was like, "Oh, I'll just try and find it. It's a Thanksgiving movie.
Yeah.
Not showing until Wednesday on AMC.
Aha.
And I was like, "Oh man."
On demand.
So here's the thing: if you're listening to that movie show and you're like, "Oh, I haven't seen this movie," AMC. This Wednesday.
There you go.
You'll DVR it.
Planes, trains, and automobiles. Worst movie to try to write down or type.
Yeah.
Automobiles is just too long of a word.
Yeah.
It really is.
I thought you were gonna say worst movie.
No.
You know what else got me too when I was typing in the title for like Twitch and stuff was when I typed planes, I spelled trains TRANES just because my mind was
As you do.
messed up.
There you go.
Yeah, as
There's
you
the first
do.
one. Take a drink. And
Gladly.
welcome in
Yeah.
to
That drinking game.
that drinking show, that movie show. Mike Wendt, Liam Stryker, Bill Neville behind the board, and today we are covering one of like maybe 2 or 3 actual Thanksgiving movies.
Yeah.
But really the classic Thanksgiving movie.
Yeah, this is the Thanksgiving movie.
Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Written, produced, and directed by John Hueghes.
Yeah.
It stars Steve Martin, John Candy, and it was released November 25th, 1987. Had a budget of $30 million and brought back $49.5 at the box office. Not a huge hit,
No.
but has gone on, much like many of these holiday movies, to have that life on television.
Yeah. This movie was okay. I watched it way back when because this movie is older than I am.
Yep.
So so I saw it way back when, and it was fine. And then I rewatched it for this, and there's a lot to this movie that I just didn't enjoy.
Okay.
I thought that the dynamic between the two lead characters
Yep.
left a lot to be desired.
Really?
Yeah, because the stakes weren't high enough for Steve Martin
To what?
to get home.
Okay.
Like, for him to be as angry as he is for most of this movie and to hate John Candy as much as he does in this movie, he really wanted that cab. Like, that has to be the only thing because
Well, he's a New York City advertising guy. Clearly, he's an angry person.
yeah, but he's just
In the 80s.
yeah,
A lot of cocaine.
ton of cocaine.
And
yeah.
very angry.
So
And then he loses a race to Kevin Bacon.
yeah, he does lose a race to Kevin Bacon for no reason.
They had just finished filming She's Having a Baby, John Hueghes with Kevin Bacon. And they wrapped up, literally, he was filming that, and he was writing this. And he wrapped up filming that and started filming this. And Kevin Bacon's like, yeah, I'm in the area. If you want me to do anything, I'll do whatever. He's like, I'll be an extra. I don't care. He's like, go, do it. Funny fact about the movie, She's Having a Baby is playing in Steve Martin's family's house during the phone calls. Hadn't been released yet.
That's fun.
That came out a year after this movie.
Yeah, that's fun.
So there you go. Kevin Bacon, multiple roles. John Candy, who was also in She's Having a Baby, multiple roles in this movie.
Wow.
You didn't even know that.
Wow.
There you go.
Wow.
Fun facts.
Fun facts.
Fun facts. I got another one that I'm going to save for a little bit.
Okay.
Because you mentioned the dynamic between the two of them.
Yeah.
The original story plays into a little bit of that.
Yeah. So Yeah, let's
jump in.
Just jump right in.
Let's jump in.
Yeah, so Steve Martin's character
Yes.
is a New York advertising agent, and his family lives in Chicago.
Yeah.
So they're not divorced,
No.
right? He's okay, cool. Because I felt like I was missing something. Because it was like, so he just flies home for the weekends.
Right. If basically, I would find this weird if my old program director at WZLX didn't have the same exact situation.
Yeah, I know that this, in the world of entertainment like this isn't uncommon,
Yeah.
right? Especially in, like, someone who lives in Boston but works in New York, or lives in Chicago but works in New York, Philadelphia, same sort of situation. So those flights are not super, super expensive, especially when you're making the type of money
Right.
that these people
And if you're
are
taking
making.
enough times, by a certain point, you're running on points anyway.
Right, exactly. So that wasn't shocking to me, but it was very much just like, so their marriage isn't on the rocks.
No.
So
No, he very much wants to get home to his loving family.
right, he loves his family. He wants to get home to his family, and that seems to be the, like, obviously the main motivation of this movie. But this isn't like he has to get there, or because he's always missing the holidays and this is the final straw.
Sure.
It's just, no, I want to get home for Thanksgiving.
Right.
And all of this stuff just kind of goes wrong.
Well, he's clearly someone who likes to, stick to the details. As we in the opening scene, as he's getting on the elevator, and Ferris Bueller's dad comes up to him and is like, "You're not going to make the 6 o'clock flight. Just stick around with me, and we'll make the 8 o'clock flight."
Right.
Because he was going to Chicago as well.
Right.
Apparently, both these guys work in New York, live in Chicago.
Right.
As you do. And but no, Steve Martin's like, "Nope. I told my wife I would be home by 9, so I'm going to get on this flight, and we'll make it. It's not going to be a problem."
Yeah, right.
Ominous. You'll never make the 6 o'clock flight.
Yeah,
They're
right.
coming to get you, Barbara.
Coming to get
Kevin
you,
Bacon's going to run down the street very fast, like in Quicksilver, but that was
Yeah.
a bike. But yeah, so we're introduced right away into New York City
Yeah.
and just the hustle and bustle, if you will.
Yeah. The holiday hustle and bustle.
I mean, let's be honest. That city is hectic to be in on a random Tuesday in
Yeah.
April.
Yeah, right. Trying to catch a cab is tough.
Catch a cab to the airport on Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Not great.
Yeah, right.
What's also with John Hueghes people, and they're flying or traveling on the holiday?
Well, this is the day before.
Pad those motherfuckers.
Well, I think he's.
Was it the day before? It was the day before,
was the
because it did
day-
take him a day to get there.
Yeah, I think it's 2 days, right? Yeah. So he left on Tuesday because they stay.
so off.
Yeah, they stay over once they get to Kansas City.
Yeah.
And
they
then
have 2 hotel stays.
They have 2 hotel stays.
Okay. So it took him 3 days.
Yeah, so he left on Tuesday.
He thought it was going to take 3 hours.
Right.
This feels like my flight home from St. Thomas.
Yeah, probably.
It was supposed to take 5 hours, took 19 hours.
Oh, brutal.
Yeah. Most of that time was just switching gates in JFK.
The worst travel that I've had from a plane,
It wasn't even a holiday.
right, had to have been coming home from Disney Mania.
Okay.
One of the stewardesses, or can we do flight attendants, whatever we
flight
call them,
attendants, whatever.
whatever we call them.
I'm not going to judge you.
So we were on Spirit. I was on Spirit Airlines.
On purpose?
Yeah, first
That's your
mistake.
first problem.
First mistake. So the tickets were a gift, right? So I didn't have a say in what airline I was flying.
On the Periscope, Triple H guy just came in with one of the favorite quotes of the whole movie. $6 in my left nut says we're not landing in Chicago. Well played, sir.
Yeah.
Go on.
So I get to the Spirit airline gate, and one of the stewardesses is just not there.
Okay.
And so we had to wait an hour and a half at the gate waiting for this person to show up.
To just open the door and let you on the plane?
So they didn't have enough flight attendants to take off.
Okay.
So we had to stay.
I guess that happens.
And then this person finally shows up and is just a peach, right? Because they looked at us.
She's having a day.
Yeah, and she looks at us like, "What's your problem?" And it's like, "I don't know. We've been waiting for you for an hour and a half."
Yeah.
Like, shut up.
Yeah.
Don't cock his head. But that's the worst flight experience that I've had.
Bill? Same.
Yeah, mine was coming home from Disney too. Is I was stuck in the Charlotte airport for 7 hours because our plane didn't take off because of mechanical issues, which I'm kind of happy
Yeah,
about.
that's not bad. Oh, well, there was that time I was detained at a Middle Eastern airport. Oh, should I go on?
I don't know.
Because of your big red
Can you
beard?
legally go on?
So I'm in the Middle East. I'm in Dubai.
That silence was perfect.
Yeah, so I'm in Dubai, and I walk up to the baggage check, or not the baggage check, like the area that where they check your tickets, like their version of TSA.
Yeah.
And I hand them my passport, and they look at my passport, look at the computer, look back at me, look back at the passport.
You don't look like you.
Tapped on the keyboard, and my beard is a lot smaller.
Yeah.
In my passport photo. And so tap on the a couple of keys, look back at the computer, look back at the passport, look back at me. Finally closes the passport and slowly slides it back to me and goes, "You need to go to room 4." And I go, "The fuck is room 4?" And so they go, "It's that way." And they point down the most sterile hallway I've ever seen. So I start walking down.
Anal probes.
Yeah. And so I start walking down this hallway, and in
All 4 holes.
and in this hallway it's
Two you don't even know about.
it's door, window, shades drawn. Door, window, shades drawn.
Sure.
And so door, window, shades drawn, window, shades drawn, door. And I'm like, well, that broke the pattern, so that's already ominous.
All right.
All right. So I enter the room, and there is a gentleman sitting behind an office desk, and he is in one of the traditional like robes. I don't know if it's like a religious thing, but it's like a white robe with the head thing and the rope. And for a place where it's consistently 120 degrees, that looked so cool compared to the jeans that I was wearing 90% of the time.
Hey, pal, can I get one of them bed sheets you get there? That looks very breezy.
Yeah, I was like, I tried to figure out how to ask them, like, look, can I get one? Like, I'm not like.
Have you heard of SWAS? I'm kind of rocking it right now. You don't want to strip search this one.
Yeah, is this like? Look, here's the thing: is it a religious thing? Because I won't get one. If it's not, I definitely will, because that looks far.
Air dry this shit.
That looks so comfortable in this fry and egg weather.
Right.
So he's sitting there behind the desk with a computer, and on left and right side of him are 2 armed military guards, and I'm like, well. I saw Midnight Express. This is where I die.
Wow, that's right where your head went.
Yeah. I was like, this is where this is going.
right.
I'm going to die.
Were you smuggling hash up your ass?
Look, I don't know. They were probably, look at me. I look like the poster boy for like, we caught this American doing something.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh my God. So
You and I don't read well with TSA.
No. I have enough trouble. Okay. So there is
We don't do ourselves favors with this shit.
There is also a very, 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 very big part of this story that I forgot to mention. I am there because I am filming a conference. So my bag is filled with camera equipment. So when you slide that through a metal detector or an X-ray machine, all it is wires and circuits.
Yeah.
So I don't look super like touristy to begin
Questionable
with.
at
I
best.
feel your pain, bud.
Yeah, Bill knows. Bill knows the deal. And so I have a tough time getting through American security because they're like, the hell is this? So sure enough, I get up to the counter and I hand him my passport, and they said they told me to come to room 4. And nobody says anything. He takes my passport and again looks at the computer, looks at the passport, looks at me, looks back at the passport.
Shocking, they're not great conversationalists.
Yeah. So then finally, after what seemed like an eternity and a half, he just closes my passport. He stamps my passport, closes it, hands it back to me, and goes, "Yeah, our computer was down when you entered the country, so we just had to enter in some stuff. You're good to go." And I'm like, "You son of a bitch!" I'm shitting bricks all the way down this hallway, and at no point did you feel the need to just tell me, "Oh, the system was down. We just have to enter in some information."
Liam exhales and 2 pounds of shit comes out of his ass.
Yeah, holy
He was
crap!
clenched that tight.
Holy crap! So that was the worst flight, and so I understand racial profiling now.
Aren't border people just the friendliest fuckers?
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't had quite that situation. I've been mildly detained at the Canadian border a bunch, and it's always just long, judgmental, and then at the end of the day, it's like, have a good trip. It's like, go fuck your mother.
Yeah.
Like, really?
Yeah.
You. Back to the movie.
Yeah.
I have to go fuck your mother. We're back to the movie.
Yeah. So that was the travel trouble I had.
But I will say, while we're on the topic, this movie does really hammer home why I don't really try to leave the house around Thanksgiving or Christmas. Or,
Yeah.
It's like I have like points A and B. Like I don't get into the Black Friday shopping. Like
No.
it's like no, I'm not doing it.
No.
Not doing it.
No.
I don't care if I need something. Like there was one year like we were having people over for the Bruins game back when
Right.
they did afternoon Black Friday games. And we needed ice.
Yeah.
Oh shit, I gotta go out to a fucking store
To get ice.
to get ice. What a hassle!
Yeah. Well, the good thing
Ice!
the good thing is that if you need stuff like that, you're okay.
No, if you have to go to Target,
Well, don't go to Target.
what am I gonna do? Drive further?
Yeah. Yes. But
What am I gonna do? Go out of my way to be convenient?
to be convenient to something easier? Yeah,
No.
probably.
Then I wouldn't have this story.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. You're right.
But yeah, so
I agree. I try not to travel. I try not to do anything. I ended up going to a GameStop in the afternoon yesterday
okay.
because I wanted to pick up something that was on sale. It was a Black Friday sale.
Couldn't get it on the phone.
No, couldn't get it on the phone. And so I went to the GameStop, got it, or I tried to get it. It was actually sold out, which was shocking because it was just the newest Madden.
Okay.
And so they were like, "Oh, we don't have it." So I ended up getting Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu, which is a delight. And we'll cover that on a different on
That game show.
that video game show.
Apparently.
That video game show.
We'll have to.
But yeah, I'm 100% with you. I worked a Black Friday once.
Oh, I used to do retail. It was hell.
And,
That's why it's Black Friday.
Yeah, it's
It's not a fun name.
no,
It's meant for despair and anger.
it is.
You know?
And people suck.
Oh, people do suck. But that's what when I was in retail, I was doing like security retail. So I got the fun part.
Oh, you got the real fun part.
People trying to lift like 10 leather jackets around at the door. I got to tackle them.
That's so funny.
Back in my younger days when I was limber and in
Yeah.
shape and
Yeah, it could hit like a
didn't like fall down and then couldn't walk for 2 weeks, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm old.
as you do.
I should do. But Steve Martin does fall a lot in this movie.
Yeah.
He almost gets run over by like what, 2-3 cars?
Yeah,
Something like that.
yes.
Including in this opening scene with the taxi.
Yeah, he almost gets hit. Some guy blackmails him into.
Well, so the guy flags a taxi. So there's this whole thing where there's a line of people. Everybody's got their head out. Everybody's whistling, snapping, flagging down taxis in New York. And Kevin Bacon spots this lone taxi.
Yeah.
That just dropped somebody off. The light goes on. That means he's open for business.
Right.
Steve Martin catches eyes with Kevin Bacon. They go hauling ass. There's tripping, there's falling, there's shenanigans abound.
Oh yeah, there's a guy that dances with Steve Martin for 30 seconds.
Great, classic New York. And then Steve Martin tries to dart into the street, trips over an ominous. What's the word I'm looking for?
Autonomous.
Ominous.
Ominous.
Ominous. There you go. Thank you. Ominous trunk
Yeah.
with the name Del Griffith on it.
Yeah.
We don't think anything of it, but it's shown for a reason.
Yeah.
Trips over that, falls into the street, almost gets run over, and Kevin Bacon, waves and smiles as only a handsome man would as he drives away.
So
in a cab.
handsome.
Hops up. Steve Martin sees another guy. He's got a cab pulling up. Hauls ass over there. By the way, Steve Martin's double briefcase running in this movie is wonderful.
Wonderful. It's a
Wonderful.
It's a delight.
There you go. Drink. And so he goes up to this guy and he's like, "Look, sir, I'm late. I got to catch a 6 p.m. flight back to Chicago. I know this is your cab, but I want to appeal to your kind nature."
Right.
And like a New York lawyer would say, "Sir, I don't have a kind nature."
Yeah.
And he starts offering money. Well, what about $10? What about $20? What about $50? And the guy goes, "Okay, $50." And then he goes, a man that would pay $50 would pay $75. And he starts breaking out the money. Meanwhile, the cab driver and some other person are putting all this luggage into the trunk of the car, and all of a sudden he takes off.
Right.
So again, Steve Martin, as Terminator 2 happens, just starts hauling ass towards the car.
Right.
Pulls up, scares the shit out of John Candy. There's his reveal.
Yeah.
Cab takes off again.
There's also a rehash of that moment later that is not in the cab.
It's not the same. It's basically it basically looked like they just took a cab door
and then
held it up and had John Candy do the thing.
Yeah.
Because
It was
it definitely
weird.
wasn't what happened because he
No.
opened the door.
Right.
It wasn't like he was looking through the window and John Candy did the thing.
Right. And it was also just a different angle.
I picked up on that as well.
That was weird.
Which is weird that you just don't double the fucking footage.
Yeah.
Just show the same.
and throw like a weird filter over it.
Oh, maybe they hadn't shot it yet.
Maybe.
It's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah.
We haven't got to the New York City scene yet.
Yeah. Well, then why? You're gonna before you edit the movie, you're gonna have all the
that
footage.
makes sense too. We're not editing in the camera.
Yeah.
I have no fucking idea.
It makes
And
no
John
sense.
Hughes is dead, so we can't even ask him.
Yeah. Damn it, John.
Damn it!
Hughes. But yeah, so we end up at the airport, and they're sitting across from each other.
He gets there at 5:58.
Yeah.
The 80s, a time where you could show up last minute to your plane.
Yeah, not 45 minutes early, and they had already taken off,
Yeah.
even though the flight's for another 40 minutes.
Right. But no, he gets to the gate, and Ben Stein announces that the flight is delayed.
Yeah.
A lot of John Hughes people cameos in this one.
Oh, yeah.
So John Hughes, Ben Stein announces, "Oh, it's delayed." So we're
Yep.
sitting there. So he's sitting. Hour goes by. Now it's 6:58, and he's looking across, and there's a man reading a romance novel called Canadian Mounted.
Yeah.
Of course, it's John Candy.
Yeah, of course.
And they lock eyes and do the whole "I know you, no, I know you," and then there's that revelation that you just mentioned.
Yeah.
And
no, you stole my cab earlier.
You stole my cab, yeah. And then he's like, "Oh, you were the guy that tried to steal my cab or tried to scare me in the cab or some shit." But somehow John Candy, who being the good-natured of the Laurel and Hardy, will try to make amends. He's like, "Well, I'm sorry. Let me buy you a hot dog and a beer. Or how about just a hot dog? How about a milkshake?"
Right. And so this
How about some pancakes and a cigarette?
Yeah. This probably starts the first part of my issue with the dynamic between in the movie.
All right.
Is that John Candy just seems so genuine.
Mm-hmm.
Right? He seems so genuine, and he seems so nice, and it feels like this from everything that this guy does in the going forward in the movie.
Yep.
He legitimately saw these two guys arguing, didn't think that they were getting the cab, so hopped in the cab.
It is New York, after all. People argue in the street all the time.
Right, you know what I mean? So it makes sense.
Two dudes in a suit haggling over money. Well, not my business.
Yeah, not my business, right? And so he ends up getting in the cab and going.
Sure.
And so it's like, there's nothing, like, he isn't oafish enough to warrant how much Steve Martin hates him.
But see, I don't even think Steve Martin hates him. I think it's more of Steve Martin is just an angry individual. As I said earlier, I think it's more of he works in New York.
Yeah.
Clearly one of those high office, he's in advertising type of guys, has to fly home every weekend. He has to deal with all this shit, and he's also very, very regimented.
Right.
Like he's sitting there, even at the boardroom, with his ticket on the table, tapping his fucking finger. Like, I gotta go. So he seems like a very on edge anyway type of guy.
Right.
Where his teapot is constantly at a simmer, ready to boil.
Yeah.
So it could have been Jesus Christ himself, and he would have treated him the same way he treated Del Griffith.
Yeah. It's just going everything that happens. It just feels like it's like you're taking it out on this guy.
Sure.
So
he's also an easy target because he's so nice.
Yeah, it's just frustrating.
Okay.
Watching that was a point of that movie where I just looked at it and I'm like, it's annoying me how much this other guy wants to help and like help you and you want nothing to do with him.
Well, there's also, I mean, there are people also, and I've been in this situation where it's just like sometimes you just want to be left the fuck alone.
Yeah.
And if somebody, and that's the theme of John Candy's character, where he's just blabbering. He even says, "Oh, I don't want to be some chowderhead who just keeps blathering on when they're on the plane," and it's like he's just told you to shut the fuck up, and you're still talking.
Yeah,
like I understand that sort of like I need some peace, I need some quiet,
right, and
I'd rather have a screaming child next to me than somebody trying to have a conversation with me.
Right, and I do understand that. I guess it's just more that the revelations in the movie and the blow-ups, they don't seem to solve anything, right? So he blows up at him at the diner. He blows up him at the other diner.
Sure.
He blows up at him in the street, and it's not until he's like, "All right, we're gonna get out because you're gonna freeze. Get in the hotel room."
I mean, Steve Martin's character basically breaks.
Yeah.
By a certain point, and but they're at the beginning. They're two characters who follow completely different life philosophies.
Right.
Steve Martin he's one of those people where he's got his life planned out to the minute.
Right.
And John Candy, which he says very much throughout it, he's like, I just go with it. I just go with it. Whatever wherever the world takes me, I'm going with it.
Right.
And that's how he establishes stuff. He's a travel salesman of shower rings.
Yeah, right.
He even carries his little wallet of shower rings. Oh, shower ring department. I got the best shower rings in the country. It's like,
Yeah,
oh my
right.
God. Okay, fine.
Yeah, weird.
But he's a very personable guy because that's also his business. He's trying to hawk shower rings to people. But he's also just go with the flow. I'm going to go here. I'm going to go there. Clearly, he's traveled the world because he's got friends at motels all over the world. He's got friends in train stations and this and that, which also leads to the ending. But they're just two completely. They are like very much the
Oil and water.
Yeah, the Odd Couple.
Yeah,
they're
right.
What was it? Matt Dow and Lemon, the Odd Couple, or whatever
right.
their names were in the movie or TV show. Both, but he keeps going on and it's like when you're Steve Martin's type, that will really, really piss you off.
Yeah,
Like that constant. It's almost like he can't stand someone that's that nice.
yeah.
And almost can't believe someone is that genuinely nice of a person. They don't exist in my world.
Yeah, right.
In the 32nd floor of Times Square, they don't exist. Nice people get killed in my world.
That's
you know
true.
what I mean?
It's true. They're killed and sacrificed. It makes sense.
We feed them to people.
Yeah, lions. And I'm the lion. That definitely makes sense. And then, so we get on the plane.
They're on the plane.
And the reason they're sitting next to each other is because
they got bumped.
He got bumped and now is not in first class anymore.
Right. Which, granted, at this point, I would make a huge fucking stink.
Yeah.
Because, first class is a big upgrade. And especially if you're used to flying first class and all this stuff. And you've had a day.
Right.
Like,
oh yeah,
like I said, that trip back from St. Thomas, I sitting in that goddamn airport for 15 however many hours. If they said, oh, and by the way, you have the smallest seat on the plane. Like, I'm a person who needs that extra legroom.
Right.
That's what I pay for.
Right.
I'm 6'3", and these extra legroom seats are still too fucking small.
Yeah, right.
So if they're like, oh, you have the smallest seat available because that's all that was left, I'd be like, I'm flying the plane. How about that?
Yeah,
I'm fucking flying the plane.
Yeah.
I mean, I would probably be dragged off and tased.
Oh, of
That's
course.
the type of scene I would
Don't
make.
tase me, bro.
At that point. So I understood that much.
Yeah, I also so they take off, they get going, but they end up getting delayed and
Well, they get rerouted.
Rerouted. And it feels like why wouldn't you go to St. Louis?
They end up in St. Louis.
Oh, I mean,
eventually.
Kansas City.
They end up in where the fuck did they end up?
Wichita
first, and they do get to St. Louis.
Yeah, but why the question I guess I have
Sure.
is why is if it goes, because my understanding of the way that they travel is they land in Wichita, then get to St. Louis on their way to Chicago.
Take a train.
Yeah. So why wouldn't you get rerouted to St. Louis?
I don't know. Wichita's a funnier word.
And it's further away.
And further away.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess logistically, because they were dealing with inclement weather, St. Louis might have been filled up at that point. It's just like, let's just go this way.
Yeah, I guess you're
This
right.
is going around the storm. I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
But probably just to keep the story going.
Yeah. So, yes.
And Wichita's a funny word.
In Wichita is a funny word. So they end up staying at that motel for the evening because Steve Martin's trying to get on a plane.
Yep.
And then
Not happening.
And then John Candy's just like, look, just stay with me
Yep.
at this place.
I got my buddy at the Brownstone Inn.
Yeah, we're gonna go.
Whatever it is.
Yeah, we're gonna go, and it's gonna be fine, and
Yep.
it's gonna be better than sleeping in the airport. And so, sure enough, they end up going, and the cab driver takes them the scenic route.
Yeah, what a strange cab.
Well,
Like,
yeah.
not even a strange cab, because I've actually when 2 trips ago to Florida, I was in a cab very similar to that, where it had like the disco ball and the neon
Yeah.
lights and all the hip hop stuff, but the driver fit the cab. This guy
Yeah, no.
didn't belong in the cab, and he's one of those character actors that I can't really place at the moment.
Yeah, okay.
But he's been in a ton of these movies, but not in this type of role. Like, it was almost like you'd expect like a hip hop DJ to be in that cab.
Yeah, right.
Also, it had a Spanish name, so this was a really fucked up scene.
Yeah, it was really weird. It was really weird. He ends up taking him on the highway because he just wants to jack up the fare.
Well, yeah, exactly.
And so they end up making it to the hotel.
The guy said you've never been here before. He's like, I don't want to be at Wichita.
Yeah.
Who wants to go to fucking Wichita?
Nobody.
Nobody wants to go.
Nobody wants to go to Wichita. And so then They end up at the hotel, and Steve Martin pays for it because apparently Steve Martin is the only one with credit cards.
Yes, that's established.
And so
Dell does not have credit cards.
So how was Dell going to pay for this?
With shower rings?
Maybe. Maybe.
Or cash. Well, they both had cash on them at the time.
Oh, that's
because
right.
they do get robbed.
Yeah. We're in the weirdest non sequitur like scene where it's like they end up going to sleep and this guy just breaks into their place to steal their money and doesn't take anything else.
Yeah.
It was like, that was weird, and I get that we needed to
get the cash off of them.
We needed to get the cash off of them, but it would have been better if you were robbed as opposed to this random guy snuck in.
Yeah.
Because it just seems so out of place.
Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't. They were in a shitty part of Wichita. The cab driver drove them there, and it is what it is. The cab driver, remember, so we did Billy Madison. It's in the archives, NewAgeInsiders.com.
Oh, sweet.
Carl
Yeah.
in Billy Madison was one of the father's employees. There was
Right.
Bradley Whitford, and then there was the actor Larry Hankin was Carl.
Right.
That's who the cab driver was.
Ah, okay.
Who's clearly not Spanish or a hip-hop DJ.
No, neither.
No, neither.
It's neither.
No, so just weird. Anyway, so we get there, and Steve Martin takes a shower. Water cuts out a couple times. It happens. John Candy fucks the room up royally.
Yeah.
He's putting open beers on a vibrating bed. He's got 47 bags of chips and fucking Cracker Jacks. I mean,
weird.
That trunk is full of junk food and beer.
Yeah.
It's my trunk.
Yeah, right.
And cigarettes. And he's
cigarettes.
he's smoking, he's drinking beers, he's pouring beer all over the bed, which then Steve Martin has to sleep in, of course.
Yeah, of course.
Steve Martin gets out of the shower looking for a towel. Towels are all over the fucking
And
place.
everything's wet.
It's a mess.
Yeah.
It's a goddamn mess. 2 seconds in, and John Candy has fucked this room up as only you'd expect John Candy to fuck a room up.
Right. And so he has to dab himself off with a face towel.
Right.
Which is weird. It was very odd. But that's when we get our first blow up.
Yeah.
We get our first blow up where Steve Martin has had it with John Candy.
Not going to take any more of that guff.
And so he blows up at him, and then they go to bed. And it's like, okay, so that feels weird that we got to this. And then we end up having the cuddling morning.
Yeah, if it wasn't a comedy movie, someone would be sleeping on the floor, and especially Steve Martin, who was literally laying in wet beer-stained bed.
Yeah.
He would sleep on the floor.
Right.
Give me your fucking pillow. You fucked up the bed.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
laying on the floor.
Yeah, right.
I mean, even without the beer, you got one basically twin and a half bed.
Right.
And John Candy.
Yeah, it's not going to work.
I'm taking the floor.
Yeah, I'll take the floor.
Take the floor, man. You got it.
Yeah. Oh, God. Yes.
So, but it is a comedy movie, so we need the cuddling and we need the snuggling and we need the nibbling on the ear bit, and then of course the hand in the pillows.
Yeah, which is really his ass.
Yep. Stuck his hand right up his poop chute.
So funny.
Yep.
So funny.
Bums.
Yeah, the entirety of this movie, the comedy kind of comes from, obviously this is the first-ish of this type of deal.
Sure.
But it's we've seen this. We've seen this in other movies before. I've seen this in movies that I've enjoyed a lot more. So this scene doesn't hit me as...
Yeah, but in 87 it probably would.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, probably. It just didn't hit me as much because
we've seen The Hangover.
We've seen The Hangover.
Once you see a guy eat couch pizza, it's all over.
Yeah.
But, which I still believe that Todd Phillips stole from my life. Side story when we do The Hangover. But, yeah, I mean, John Hueghes, this was really his first adult movie.
Yeah.
Because he had just done the teen angst movies, and then he wrote this.
Yeah.
Which he said it was basically based off of this happened to him.
Yeah.
He was trying to get from New York to Chicago, and it took him 5 days because of just rerouting and having to stay here and having to do this.
Right.
And he's like, yep, that's a movie.
Right.
Oh,
it is.
And that's how, going through it, how a lot of his movies came about. He was talking to, I watched one of the special features on the Blu-ray, was just pretty good John Hueghes documentary. And his assistant was telling a story of how he came up with Mr. Mom. His wife was going out of town for the first time, and he wasn't, he didn't know what the fuck to do. So he called her from the supermarket, and he's like, I don't know what to buy kids for food.
Yeah.
And he's like, I have to go home and do laundry. I've never done laundry, but how do I do laundry? And all this. She's like, I'm going to help you get through it, but you also need to write this down.
Yeah.
And that became Mr. Mom. Another great movie with Michael Keaton. But this came out of his life, and it became really his first adult movie.
Right.
Now that we're kind of into it, and this is the first instance where the morning after, Del keeps asking Steve Martin for his address to pay him back.
Right.
Because he doesn't want to be a freeloader. He wants to pay him back.
Right.
He wants to get his address. One of the early incarnations of this movie, Del Griffith was a vampire.
What?
And his mission was to get into Steve Martin's home because vampires can only be invited.
Yeah, you have
into
to be
your
invited,
home.
right.
That was the original thought for this movie.
That's so
He took his story, turned it into a vampire story, but then through the rehearsal process of Steve, it actually made it this far to Steve Martin and John Candy, and basically he said, based off of their chemistry and banter back and forth, he dropped the vampire shit and just made it this movie.
That would have been so much more interesting.
But it also
explains how this movie unfolds.
Exactly.
Because one of my biggest issues with this entire thing is the ending.
Mm-hmm.
The ending of this movie is so infuriating.
Yes.
Because that needed to come in the second motel.
Right.
That reveal.
It was okay. So here's what I didn't like about the ending. The I don't have a home.
Yeah.
I got like when it was kind of obvious around in between the second and third motel.
Right.
His wife's dead, or at least left him.
She's gone.
She's not
out of the
in
picture.
the picture.
Right.
It was really hammered home when he's talking to her in the car.
Right.
And okay, fine. And the whole I haven't been home in years. Okay, he's a traveling salesman.
Yep.
He's single. Obviously, his wife either left him or died.
Yep.
But when he goes, I don't have a home.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's a leftover from the vampire story.
Yeah.
I'm like, there's like,
Right.
who doesn't have a home? Like,
right.
Who can pay for this much travel, but can't get an apartment?
Right. Exactly.
You know, I get it. You're a traveling salesman. You live from motel to motel for months on end.
Right, but
at a certain point, you got to change your fucking clothes.
Yeah, right. You got to do laundry or something.
Something. You can't just keep washing your socks and underwear in the sinks.
Yeah, and
Can't do it.
Right, and the reveal of his wife being dead at the end.
I got it.
And it was just
Fine.
like, but again, that was the pacing problem that I had with this movie.
Okay.
Because it feels like we start to get going, and I get it. We start to get going, and then all of a sudden it's just roadblock.
Mm-hmm.
And so there were too many. You talk about the rule of threes in comedy.
Sure.
And after 3, it depreciates in value, right? Because it's like, oh, well, now it's just, you're just hitting it too much.
Right.
And so it was like, that's how we felt about it. That's how I felt about it, where it's like, okay, either don't do the bit where you scream at the lady at the car rental place.
That was the apex of the character.
Right.
Like that was the tea kettle going from simmer to fucked up boiling and spilling all over the place.
Right. Or don't do the driving down the highway the wrong way. Because that's where it starts to get.
But see, that was 2 different characters, though. I mean, if it was the same guy,
yeah,
that's fine. But that was 2 different characters having their own little thing. Again, it's funny you mention those because Steve Martin said in interviews that those are actually the 2 scenes that made him want to do the movie. When he was reading the script, he goes, the car scene with John Candy and yelling at the rent-a-car lady. It's like, I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Or maybe it's, don't have the train break down.
Yeah, the train was very convenient.
You know what I mean? It's just like, so have the
train. But I mean, it's in the title.
Right. No, you got to have a train, but have the train only be able to go so far and have them get to a place where he has to rent the car.
Yeah.
So that it's, hey, we haven't cleared the track that last bit to Chicago
right.
because of this snowstorm. So we haven't been able to clear that. So you got to get a rent-a-car. Not the train broke down. So now you have to take this bus to get to this place to then rent a car.
Again,
that's
it could happen.
No, it could happen. It was just very God, just get to the next bit already.
Right.
Because we definitely didn't need them in the bus singing and then Steve Martin starts to sing a song that nobody's ever heard before.
Sure.
And it's just like, again, it goes back to John Candy being a good guy. Steve Martin's out there being an asshole, and then out of nowhere, John Candy's like, no, I got to save you because you don't get it.
The funny thing is, watching this movie, especially watching it now, 2018,
Yeah.
I feel a lot of my own personality traits side with John Candy.
Yeah.
But I also completely justify every one of Steve Martin's blow-ups.
Right.
Like, what? Like, if the rent-a-car thing happened to you, that if it was me,
Right.
fuck was said 18 times in that scene,
Yes.
and it was the only reason this movie was rated R.
Of course.
It would have at least been doubled if that was me.
Yeah.
Like, they abandoned him
Yeah.
across a tarmac, as he said, across a tarmac, across a fucking
Yeah,
whole
he-
thing. He had to walk miles and miles. Fucked up. Yeah, I'd be a little bullshit too.
Yeah. Right. No.
And then her saying there's no cars? Really?
Yeah.
Because that lot was full of cars except for that one spot.
Right. Yeah.
So either give me the keys or I'm going to figure out a way to steal a motherfucking car.
Yeah, right. You're right, and he was justified in that. It was just there wasn't a lesson to be learned. Like
Don't travel on Thanksgiving.
Well,
That's
there-
what I took
yeah.
away from my wall.
Yeah, but like Steve Martin's character doesn't grow at all. He just exists. Because
The growth is definitely softening to
Yeah.
John Candy, but yeah, I mean there isn't a lot of growth, and I don't think this is a character that would grow. I think he's gonna spend holidays with his family, and John Candy is invited over.
yeah,
But on Monday he's gonna fly back to New York and be the same cunt that we met at the beginning.
yeah.
And John Candy's gonna go about his business. He's gonna go back to selling shower rings.
They're gonna be a family together now.
I don't believe it.
That's what
He's gonna John Candy's gonna go on to have an award-winning polka band in Home Alone.
Yeah, that's true.
Again, just a traveling on the holidays. Stop it, John Hueghes.
Yeah, stop it.
Plan ahead.
Yeah. But yeah. It was what it was.
The funny thing is, the neighborhood that Steve Martin's house is in is 1 block over from the McAllister house.
What if they're linked?
It's a John Hueghes world. I'm sure they are.
Yeah, so they are down the street.
Yeah.
They got robbed by the wet bandits.
They did.
They got robbed by the wet bandits.
That's what it was. The guy flew to Wichita.
Yeah.
The sticky bandits at the time.
Yeah. Well, they were the wet bandits at the time.
Were they
right?
wet first or sticky first?
They were wet first.
Gross either way.
Yeah, either way. Because the whole thing was they had they blew up something, and they flooded the basement.
I guess. I thought no. Daniel Stern just kept stuffing stuff in sinks as a trademark.
Oh, was that it?
Yeah, that was it. It wasn't. It wasn't that. It was stupid.
Yeah. I remember.
It was stupid.
Yeah.
But then in one of them, maybe it was the second one.
He has a glove.
He had the
he's-
glue glove.
Yeah, and he sticks
He
it
had the
in
Barry Sanders gloves.
Yeah, and he stuck it in the Salvation Army.
Yeah.
To get the pennies.
Terrible. Gross.
Yeah.
Where did we get? How did we get here? Sticky bandits, wet bandits.
They're John Hueghes movies. They're connected, and it's down the street from
Gotcha.
the
The block
McAllister's
over
house.
from the McAllister's house. Yeah. Again. Okay, so this is gonna sidetrack to Home Alone for a second. I'm sure you saw the meme about the McAllister house. What does his dad do?
Yeah.
Where he can afford this house and a trip to Paris over Christmas for 9 fucking people.
Oh yeah.
What
Yeah.
drugs does this
advertising.
guy sell?
Advertising.
Apparently, yeah. Apparently, he flies to New York every week. And fuck, I can't do a Home Alone show right now. And then there's a whole side thing how Kevin is actually Patrick Bateman from American Psycho. Oh, we have a Home Alone show to do.
Oh, Jesus.
That's a whole rabbit hole I can go down on that one.
Jesus.
It is. Bill, how are we doing on time?
We're about 43 minutes.
Excellent. Good timing. So yeah, but it's see to me, I mean, I remember it from the 80s.
Yeah.
So I remember it as that. And I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I just don't take it as seriously. Maybe.
It's not. It falls into the same camp.
It definitely
for
has
me.
a good 10 minutes that they could cut out of it.
It falls in the same camp for me as like a Citizen Kane, right? In the okay. So when I look at Citizen Kane,
Rosebud,
I don't find Citizen Kane unto itself to be miraculous.
the greatest American
Smooth
cinema
achievement
picture
ever.
ever.
Yeah, like I don't see that. And the reason why is because the things that make it revolutionary and make it so groundbreaking are all things that are now commonplace in American cinema now.
Right.
The different angles, the low, the high, the depth of field, the perception,
Sure.
all that stuff.
But in 1934,
But in 1934, that's and so in a movie where it's about like traveling on a holiday and wild shenanigans, odd couple pairings go. Yeah, this movie may have.
But they set the family truckster on fire.
Yeah, right. But that might happen. But again, I think the movie you brought up is the accurate one. We live in a world where The Hangover now has happened.
Right.
And in the time where that movie came out, to when I had first seen it, to where I had watched it for this show, I had seen The Hangover in between those times, and that's the superior film.
I also look at it like this. I liked, because yes, we're in a world where The Hangover exists. We're in a world where R-rated movies push everything to every limit because
Right.
we can.
Right.
Because we can have tigers in the bathroom now.
Yeah.
With CGI, et cetera, et cetera. But to take a movie that was R-rated,
Right.
but only because of one scene, like they could have.
Right.
This movie could have been littered with fucks and shit jokes
Yep,
all
the
over
whole
the place,
thing.
and it was refreshing to almost see a sanitized R-rated movie.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
it
does.
It is one of the, and I think that's why it's gone. Also, it's besides Dutch, the only Thanksgiving movie I know of.
Yeah.
That's why it's become that movie. But it's also because you can sit down and just watch it with the family.
Yeah.
And not be worried that grandma's going to see
Boobs and
you know,
vaginas.
Zach Galifianakis, a terrible name, jerking off a baby.
Yeah, right. Right. You're right. It's just, I guess, maybe it just ultimately boils down to there are funnier buddy odd couple movies,
No
and
argument
there
there.
are better
No argument there.
travel movies.
Sure.
And so while this just isn't,
Like The Hangover 3.
yeah, this is The Hangover 3. There it is.
There it is. You happy with it?
You know what? We watched it. It was fine.
It was a thing.
It was a thing, but
Okay.
yeah, I'm not.
All right.
If I'd never see it again,
When in Rome.
yeah, when it's Thanksgiving.
God, I dove down on a Will Ferrell binge
Because-
last week. Holy shit, we got to do some Will Ferrell movies again.
Yeah, of course.
Oh.
See, the thing is it's got to be either it was between Planes, Trains, and Automobiles,
Yep.
or Thanksgiving with the evil turkey.
We mentioned upstairs. We mentioned Trauma upstairs, and what was he just did one a couple years ago, and it was kind of Thanksgiving kind of ripped it off.
Yeah.
It was it was like a chicken fucker or something like that. It was a Lloyd Kaufman movie, but but
So Thanksgiving is about
or like I said, Dutch.
a talking murderous turkey.
Yes,
Gobble gobble, motherfucker.
gobble gobble. It talks too, doesn't it?
Yeah, it talks. It talks.
Yeah.
It's retarded.
Yeah, of course it is. But yeah, or Dutch with Ed O'Neill.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we need more Ed O'Neill movies coming into our
lives.
Our lives, yes.
What about Wayne's World? Just that one scene.
Just that one scene, the Stan Mikita scene. I am all in on that one.
Yeah.
I am. Kill a man in heat of call it heroic. Kill a man in heat of passion. It's murder.
It's murder.
Fucking great scene.
I love that, and there's also my other favorite bit in that movie. It has to be when Wayne opens up the door and he goes, "Haven't you ever wanted to open a door to an underground training facility where ninjas are just practicing martial arts?" And then he just closes the
Of
door.
course you do. Of
Oh, it's
course you
great.
do. What the hell was I looking for while we were just trying to stretch for time here?
So we both saw. So I just to shift gears.
Poultry Guys. There it is. Night of the Chicken Dead. That was the trauma movie.
Poultry Geist.
Poultry
Oh,
Guys.
geez.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's like. See, here's the thing. I'll watch trauma movies.
Oh, yeah.
But the fan base has to pay for it.
Oh, I'm all in on certain trauma movies. Like
Yeah.
I'll watch them. There's a few that I'll watch and be like, great, that's a fun hour and a half.
Oh God.
Then there's some you're gonna have to pay me to watch.
Yeah.
Unless Lloyd wants to come on the show.
Yeah, if Lloyd wants to come on the show, we'll watch whatever he
We'll
wants
watch what
with
the
him.
fuck he wants us to watch.
Yeah, which would be very
So
fun.
tweet at Lloyd Kaufman, tell him to get on that movie show.
That'd be very fun because he'll do it.
He would.
How many? What was the drinking rules? that came up by Rob?
It was definitely As You Do.
As You Do.
You said Delightful, I believe.
Yep, Delightful was another one. And then we were coming up with a third one.
There was a third one, wasn't there?
And it was something to do with Bill, but I think...
Well, anytime I say fuck, drink. So you're fucked. Double shots for you fuckers. There's 3. But yeah, it was As You Do, Fuck, and Delightful. And then Bill was added on to add his own.
Yeah. So, Bill, what would you like your thing to be?
What's your drinking thing? I think it's one of those things that has to be subtle, and we have to alert the audience that Bill starts wrapping us up or sending us Facebook messages saying, 50 minutes, guys, we're droning on.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're just...
So when we hit 50 minutes, you all drink.
Anytime I send you a message,
Actually,
make sure they know.
That's because you tweeted, how do we know when to finish? When you hit 50 minutes, that's the Bill drink. Finish your drinks because we're going home.
Because we're going home,
So that is Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Wrapping up our Thanksgiving and heading into December. So starting with December, because Hanukkah starts on December 2nd, I only know... Well, I don't know. I know a few, actually, Jewish movies.
We talked about one upstairs.
We talked about one upstairs.
8 Crazy Nights.
But I will say my favorite Hanukkah movie that most people haven't seen, we're going to cover next week.
Yep.
And it's Adam Goldberg's Hebrew Hammer.
Yeah, which is very similar to Black Dynamite.
Yes. If you listen to our Black Dynamite episode, which is in the archives, newageinsiders.com, along with our Michael Jai White interview, you will love it. It's basically Black Dynamite with a Jewish twist.
Yeah. That's basically it.
It's a Jew-sploitation movie.
A Jew-sploitation movie.
There you go. So that will be next week on That Movie Show. Thank you for joining us on That Movie Show for Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. I am Mike Wendt. He is Liam Stryker. Bill Neville has been behind the board. You can follow all of us on social media, #That Movie Show, and let us know what you want us to cover in the future. And by all means, subscribe to New Age Insiders Pop on your favorite podcasting app. Liam, Bill, anything else?
That's it. No, let's get out of here.
All right, let's finish our drinks.
Bye, everybody. It's been delightful.